wow. Dort totally veers off his path there, and that is exactly what triggers the aggressive response from Jokic. It was a completely cheap shot followed by a mandatory retaliation. Folks, that sequence right there is the moment that broke. Social media. We are talking about a 3-time MVP, mere weeks after rehabbing a serious knee issue, being intentionally clipped and slammed to the floor. The silence that swept the arena was deafening as everyone waited to see the Joker's next move, and his post-game comments may have just poured gasoline on the fiercest feud in the league. If you love NBA drama, make sure to like and subscribe right now. The ticking time bomb. Before we dissect the main event, you have to grasp the context here. This showdown on February 27th, 2026, between the Nuggets and the Thunder was miles away from your standard regular season matchup. Not even in the same ballpark. This was a train wreck waiting to happen, driven by deep-seated playoff resentment, divisional bitterness, and a degree of roughness that had the refs reaching for their whistles before the play even started. If you were sleepwalking through the first 3 quarters, you likely overlooked the red flag, signaling that this game was destined to turn ugly. Let's hit the rewind button. Oklahoma City came into this one wearing the crown as defending NBA champs, riding high after a stunning 4-3 upset over Denver in last year's Western Conference semis. That series was a total slugfest. Nikola Jokic put up 42 points and 22 boards in the opener, and when Aaron Gordon drained a game winner to steal home court advantage, it seemed like Denver was poised to cruise. But OKC clapped back with a 149-106 massacre in Game 2. From there, the Thunder took the wheel. They snatched 3 of the next 4 and eventually slammed the door shut in Game 7 with a 125-93 rout in OKC. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander dropped 35 points in what was essentially a public execution of the Nuggets on their own turf. That beatdown lived in Denver's head all summer. By the time February arrived, the Nuggets were starving for revenge, aching to show that the championship pedigree they displayed in 2023 hadn't evaporated. However, there was a snag. Denver was in a rut. They were sitting at 4-7 since the Joker came back from that month-long layoff with a hyperextended left knee. Their performance in crunch time was horrendous, winning just 1 of 6 close contests in that span. The Nuggets looked like a squad that couldn't seal the deal, couldn't finish, and had seemingly lost that killer instinct that won them a ring just 2 years back. Don't forget to hit subscribe for more deep dives like this. On the flip side, the Thunder were rolling out the red carpet for their superstar. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was suiting up after sitting out 9 games with an ab strain, and the vibe inside the Paycom Center was absolutely buzzing. The atmosphere was screaming playoff intensity before the turnstiles even stopped spinning. Nuggets interim head coach David Adelman didn't mince words about their game plan pregame. He basically said, "We aren't playing soft like we did back home. We are going to bring the pain." And Denver delivered on that promise. From the jump ball, the Nuggets came out brawling. In some cases, quite literally, we weren't even 2 minutes in when Jokic shoved Thunder big man Isaiah Hartenstein during a stoppage and then threw a forearm into SGA after the whistle. That moment dictated the flow for the rest of the night. Gilgeous-Alexander, obviously, fed up with the cheap shots, grabbed the rock and chucked it straight at Jokic. The refs instantly slapped SGA with a tech. But here is what drove Thunder Nation crazy. Jokic got off SCO tangent free. The head ref later claimed Jokic's bump wasn't unsportsmanlike, but throwing the ball definitely was. Just like that, under 3 minutes in, the dynamite was lit. But the violence was just getting started, not by a long shot. Jokic snagged his second foul early in the first and started getting into it with Jalen Williams in the post, a battle filled with constant shoving, holding, and jersey popping. It wasn't hidden either. The Stripes had to physically pull Jokic and Williams apart multiple times before the ball was even in play, which paints a clear picture of the hostility level right from the jump. Meanwhile, in the backcourt, Jokic got tangled up with both Lou Dort and Aaron Wiggins during live action while the ball was miles away. Down the court, guys were grappling and hip checking away from the play, and the crew was fighting a losing battle to control it. The Nuggets' bench even got hit with a tech in the third amidst the trash. Talk and jostling happening across the hardwood. Thunder coach Mark Daigneault admitted just how well these squads knew each other's playbooks and how that familiarity was turning into pure hatred. He noted, "These are 2 groups that went 7 rounds in the playoffs. We share a division. It was personal. When teams know each other this well, the game transforms into a completely different animal. Suddenly, every screen feels like a brick wall, every rebound is a fist fight, and dead balls become trash talk sessions. They know exactly which buttons to push to get a reaction, and tonight, they were smashing all of them. Despite the physical toll, the Nuggets actually dictated the pace for most of the first half. They walked into the locker room up 59-50, torching the net by hitting 11 of 20 from deep. Jamal Murray was lighting it up despite battling the flu, while Jokic cruised toward his 22nd triple-double of the year. But you can never count out the Thunder. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander went nuclear with 14 points in the third quarter. That brought OKC within striking distance, and then Dort caught fire, draining a massive three to flip the script. That bucket put the Thunder up 86-85, and he followed it with a silky mid-range jumper to keep the heat on. Dort was playing with insane swagger, and hey, if you love high-intensity hoops like this, smash that like button right now. The Joker checked back in with 9 minutes and 30 seconds left to try and salvage the game. It was a nail-biter, with the Thunder clinging to a 98-96 lead after a clutch Jared McCain bucket. Then, with 8 minutes and 3 seconds on the clock, the court turned into a war zone. The cheap shot heard round the world. Let's set the stage for you. Fourth quarter, just over 8 minutes left. It's a 2-point game and everyone is transitioning to defense. That's when Dort, jogging next to Jokic, throws a hip check right into the MVP's bad knee, crumbling him to the floor. Keep in mind, this is a man fresh off a scary hyperextended knee injury. He missed a full month rehabbing that joint, and now he's sprawled out because of a dirty, non-basketball play. It had nothing to do with defense. It was a deliberate trip, and the broadcast team caught it instantly. The commentators jumped all over the replay, and if you want more breakdown videos like this, make sure to subscribe. Let's roll the tape. Watch Dort's eyes as he spots Jokic coming up the floor. Freeze it there. That hesitation is everything. The replay is absolutely damning. You see the leg kick out? That subtle move is what ignited the powder keg. But the aftermath? That's what sent shockwaves through the entire league. Jokic, usually the coolest guy in the arena, popped up like a man possessed and got right in Dort's grill. Chest to chest, nose to nose. The fire in Jokic's eyes was something we rarely see. Jalen Williams saw his teammate in trouble and sprinted into the fray. He starts shoving and grabbing at Jokic, who swipes back near Williams' head in retaliation. The refs later called it a defensive reflex, not a punch, but suddenly the whole court was a mosh pit. Coaches, refs, and players were tangled up in a chaotic scrum trying to separate the Giants. For a second, it looked like the situation was about to spiral into a full-blown brawl. While the officials sorted out the mess, the cameras zoomed in on the real story. Look at those eyes. The intensity is radiating off him like heat waves. He looks ready for combat. That crazy eye stare became the instant viral thumbnail of the night. This wasn't just frustration. This wasn't just competitive spirit. This was pure fury. The kind that bubbles up when someone threatens your livelihood. When you've dealt with the pain, the rehab, and the fear of a career-ending injury. A cheap shot like that feels personal. It feels like an attack on your future. It triggers a primal instinct to defend your career at all costs. The officials spent about 2 to 3 minutes at the monitor, breaking it down frame by frame. The stadium was dead silent. Players paced like caged tigers while coaches tried to play peacemaker. Finally, the crew chief stepped out to deliver the verdict. They ruled Dort's contact unnecessary and excessive, upgrading the call to a Flagrant Two. That means an automatic ejection. Dort's night was over right then and there. Dort got tossed, Williams got hit with a foul, and the energy of the game shifted forever. According to the head official's breakdown in the league report, Dort's actions crossed the line, deemed both needless and over the top. The ruling cited a severe risk of bodily harm and noted that the hit sparked a scuffle that simply refused to de-escalate. While Jokic and Jalen Williams got slapped with offsetting technicals, neither was tossed since the refs confirmed no punches flew. But folks, this is where the story gets spicy. Even the broadcast team wasn't sold on the call. If you love these debates, smash that like button now. I have to say, I was stunned they went straight to a Flagrant Two. I get a Flagrant One for pointless contact, sure. But that decision tore the basketball world apart. The debate between a level 1 versus a level 2 ejection became the hot topic on every sports network in the nation. What's your take? Was it too harsh? Personally, I thought a Flagrant One covered it, to be honest with you guys. Over on the inside the NBA set, the panel was just as split. Shaq completely brushed the whole thing off, claiming it was just standard competitive grit showing up in a physical matchup. He basically said, look, I wouldn't call that a flagrant. It is just a medium check. It is not even a hard hit, just a standard bump. The Big Diesel doubled down, arguing that roughness is baked into the sport's DNA. He told Ernie, you have to bump guys around. You can't just roll out the red carpet and let opponents sprint past you in this league. But Sir Charles wasn't having any of that. He pumped the brakes hard on that perspective, shifting the entire tone of the chat. He said flat out, I disagree with Shaq. Bumping is fine, but he tripped that man. Chuck then highlighted the real issue here that puts this in perspective: the injury risk. That is the X factor, turning a standard routine scrap into something way more dangerous. I think the Joker gets touchy because once you get hurt, you know the pain, especially when someone pulls a stunt that feels dirty. And that is the heart of this entire drama. When a superstar who just battled back from a knee issue gets clipped by a knee, the anger transcends the game. It becomes about protecting your livelihood, your legacy, and the terror that one cheap shot could end it all in a heartbeat. Amidst the chaos, the Thunder actually pulled off the win 127-121 in overtime, even with SGA sitting out the extra frame due to a minutes cap. Before getting tossed, Dort logged 12 points and 5 boards. The Joker still managed a monster triple-double, 23 points, 17 rebounds, and 14 assists, though he struggled, hitting only 9 of 25 from the floor. Jamal Murray was heroic, pouring in 39 points while battling sickness to keep Denver afloat, but they fell short. Denver's late game woes continued. But honestly, the scoreboard felt like background noise because the real story everyone wanted to hear was the fallout from Jokic, Dort, and the coaches. Before we get to those quotes, hit subscribe so you never miss an update. The postgame microphone became the real battlefield here, taking on a life of its own because every single person who spoke had a unique angle, a hidden agenda, and a specific signal they wanted to broadcast to the league. Let's kick things off with the man of the hour, Nikola Jokic. Still visibly steaming, he was asked point blank about the foul, and his answer was classic Joker: stoic, sharp, and cutting deep beneath the surface. He acknowledged the game was chippy, but when asked for his view on the Dort incident, he didn't hold back. Here is exactly what he had to say. It is what it is. I am not going to comment too much. It is an unnecessary move and an unnecessary reaction. There is no place for that. But then he dropped the soundbite that is absolutely blowing up online right now. He said those things do not belong on the hardwood. So, in his eyes, it was an unnecessary move, but a necessary reaction on his part. Unnecessary move, necessary reaction. That phrase lands heavy. Jokic wasn't just recapping the play, he was drawing a hard boundary. He was declaring that Dort's cheap shot has no place in hoops, period, and that his retaliation, getting in his face and standing his ground, was mandatory for the situation. He wasn't offering an apology for his intensity, he was justifying it. When reporters pressed on if his anger had been simmering all night, he handled it with the poise of a guy who has survived playoff wars and earned a ring. We know they play physical. They are handsy. They skirt the edge of the rules, but I think we handled it well. And regarding the fear of getting ejected during the review, he completely brushed it off like it was nothing. The mere suggestion seemed almost insulting to him. I had to know, did the thought of getting tossed even cross your mind during that tense replay review? His answer: 5 simple words delivered with the conviction of a man who possesses zero doubt. I think I didn't do nothing. Double negative aside, he had a point. The refs agreed, no punches thrown. The official pool report even clarified that neither Jokic nor Williams did enough to earn an early shower. But here is the kicker. Nuggets assistant David Adelman dropped what might be the spiciest take of the night. He didn't just have his MVPs back, he broke down exactly why the Joker snapped the way he did. He peeled back the curtain on a grievance that giants around the association have been battling for ages. I'll say this. I think his frustration is sometimes because the game is officiated differently out on the floor than it is near the basket. Boom. That is a heavy accusation. Adelman essentially put the stripes on blast for the double standard between perimeter touch fouls and the war zone in the post. Jokic only went to the line 5 times all night, despite getting hammered on nearly every possession. For a superstar of his status, a 3-time MVP who makes his living in the trenches, that total is laughably low. It highlights a systemic problem that bigs have been screaming about for decades. And don't expect him to just take it lying down. He is competitive. And then Adelman delivered the soundbite that has everyone circling their calendars for the March 9th showdown. It didn't sound like a guess, it sounded like a guarantee. If you are loving this breakdown, smash that like button. When we play them again, whatever it is, in like 10 days, I am sure it will be the exact same way. Over in the OKC locker room, Mark Daigneault played it cool, but kept it sharp. He didn't throw Dort under the bus or label it a dirty play, but he definitely planted his flag regarding what he wants to see from the Zebras regarding fairness league-wide. So when they run it back in roughly 10 days, expect the intensity to be dialed up to the max once again. Daigneault's mic drop moment came when he touched on the precedent that a Flagrant Two sets for the rest of the NBA. Basically, if that is the bar, then keep that same energy for everyone, not just when the victim is a 3-time MVP. That is a shot across the bow that the league front office cannot ignore. Jalen Williams, the guy who sprinted in to back up Dort and got into a shoving match with the Joker, kept his post-game media availability brief, just competing. 2 teams competing. That is it. That is all I got. Short, sweet, and telling. Williams wasn't offering apologies. He wasn't retreating. He was putting the league on notice. OKC is not changing their identity or their hustle for anyone. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander weighed in too. And his words perfectly summed up the Thunder's mindset as they gear up for the final playoff push. Wanted to win really badly, and they were going at it. They are obviously a high-level squad. We are a high-level squad. Then SGA went to bat for his boy, shutting down the storyline painting Dort as a villain. Yeah, I do not know. Lou got thrown out. Lou is not that type of guy who is trying to hurt people. He is just trying to win. Don't forget to subscribe for more updates. But folks, here is where the plot thickens. Luke Dort was a ghost after the buzzer. No media availability. OKC kept him on lockdown, and that silence was deafening. Why? Because Dort's rap sheet is getting long. Casual viewers might miss this, but his history of controversial plays is extensive. He has 4 career ejections. The elbow on Kevin Love in 2021. The low blow on Daniel. Gafford in 2023 that looked incredibly dirty. And that undercut on Ja Morant in the 2025 postseason that took Ja out for the year. And now, the trip on Jokic. The internet is undefeated, and compilations are already viral, labeling Dort the league's dirtiest player. Thunder Nation defends him as a first-team all-defense grinder who just wants it more, but the trend of reckless, borderline, unsafe antics is getting impossible to overlook. The online discourse? Absolutely toxic. Twitter went into meltdown mode, calling for heads to roll. Some want a 10-game ban, while others say it was just playoff-style physicality in a heated battle. As of March 1st, 2026, the league office has stayed quiet on suspensions, though fines could still drop. Dwayne Wade and Udonis Haslem, calling the game, really nailed the vibe regarding what this beef means for the future. This felt like a preview of the Western Conference Finals. That atmosphere was absolutely electric, feeling more like a conference final showdown than a regular game. But here is the massive headline you need to take away from tonight. The Denver Nuggets versus the OKC Thunder is no longer just another date on the 9th. NBA schedule. We are witnessing the birth of the league's most volatile, physical, and emotionally draining feud. You need to mark March 9th on your calendar right now. With injured stars likely returning and the bad blood boiling over, that rematch is guaranteed to be absolute fireworks. If you love this kind of intense basketball coverage, make sure to hit that like button, because one thing is crystal clear. Nikola Jokic refuses to be bullied. Lou Dort is not going to stop being the ultimate agitator. The next time these two squads share the floor, you cannot afford to look away, because this war is just getting started. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the update, and click the video on screen for more.